Okay, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 6, Episode 12. This is called First Amendment Rights and Wrongs. Heyo. When I read First Amendment Rights, I was like, oh God, don't do that. Oh, we're going political. Oh, let's get into this. And then it was literally just a reenactment of the Boston Tea Party where we called out people for pill popping. The description the Peacock gives us says Bronwyn embraces her U.S. citizenship and hosts a spill the tea party that quickly turns into chaos. I would love to think that the Boston Tea Party was just a bunch of spinsters just talking mad shit about it, just spreading gossip, giving out urine tests, you're on cocaine and you know it. That is my secret dream. Also, I'm wearing my it's fine, I'm fine, everything's fine, my Muzzy hoodie when I dressed up as Muzzy. And this is why you can't take me anywhere. I ate dinner and I've got stains on all my clothes because I'm an animal. I'm a monster and you can't try, dirt attracts to me. I spill things everywhere. I'm a disgusting human being. Muzzy would be ashamed to have me as a son. We have appearances from Muzzy and Todd this episode. But there's something in it though. It felt, I liked it, but it did feel I don't want to say a little much because Salt Lake City is good when it's a little much. Like I said, Fever Dream, Twin Peaks, David Lynch, John Waters. It exists in this alternate reality that I know is real, but at the same time, I'm like, there's no way that this place called Salt Lake City exists. So it works from this weird standpoint. It just seems rather disconnected lightly these last two episodes, even though it's still really good. I hate to give it any sort of critique because it's really my favorite show to watch every week. But I do want to say that there's a little weird adjustment happening. I think not just for the show, but for the viewers ever since they've gotten on dry land. Whatever happened in that airplane, and you better let us, this reunion, somebody, and I'm going to curse, earmuff the kids. Somebody better fucking have video or audio of this because I'm losing my mind. We can't just keep throwing mysteries out there willy-nilly without giving us some sort of resolution. We need Matlock. We need that lady from Murder, She Wrote. We need to solve these mysteries. We still don't know if Lisa Barlow did weird things for jazz tickets all those seasons ago. Salt Lake is such a weird, strong show that they'll put criminals away like Jen Shaw, but we'll be left wondering for years what Meredith did or didn't do while she was not paying attention to Crazy Rich Asians. Come on, we've got Dead Man Also. Once again, I'm really begging Bravo to let Meredith Marks host a movie review show, or let Meredith Marks and Lisa Barlow host like a Siskel and Ebert show. And then they recap Housewives shows. This is actually a solid idea now that I'm talking it out loud. You put them in a little movie theater and Lisa's like, welcome to at Bravo. It's me, Lisa Barlow. And me, Meredith Marks. And we're going to tell you what we watched this week. We watched the finale of Orange County. What did you think, Meredith? I don't really remember what happened on that. You can leave. So we start off, as always, with scenes from previous episodes, but the main things you got to pay attention to is that they're going to focus on Whitney being weird with her husband, Justin, because of the failure of her business, and because Whitney had a lunch with Bronwyn, and Whitney was like, Meredith was completely unhinged. I don't know if it was fueled by alcohol or sleeping pills, but it was pure rage. It was pure rage. It really does seem like terror in the skies. I survived a flight with Meredith Marks. It was pure rage. I've never seen anything like this. It was so, I'm afraid to fly. It's like the shark in Jaws. People were afraid to get into the water. I'll never be able to fly again. It's truly, truly incredible. And then they called her out at the Voltaire's lunch, the ladies who lunch event that Mary Cosby threw. And Meredith's one of those people, you got to prod her a little bit to get her awake. And then she fully wakes up and she becomes the incredible Meredith Mark Hulk, right? She wakes up. But I do love how this show is tap danced around calling Meredith Marks having a substance abuse problem for what I feel like is years now. They've tapped, and now finally we're just flat out saying it, but Whitney is usually the one leading the charge, and it's weird, right? But anyways, Meredith at this lunch is like, I do not have a substance abuse problem. And when he's like, I haven't even said that to you. And Bronwyn? And Bronwyn's like, you outed it at this table. Now I've damaged my relationship with Whitney because Bronwyn, told Meredith what Whitney told her at this lunch. And I always just find it funny of like, come on, Bronwyn, do you really care that you damaged your relationship with Whitney? And then Whitney, when she was helping Heather Gay take out her disgusting 20-year marital mattress, Whitney was telling Heather, I would have never told Bronwyn what I experienced on the plane. Had I known that little coward would run straight to her. What show do we all think we're on? We're 6 seasons in, Whitney. You know exactly how this thing works. Whitney has been a fan of reality television before she was on reality television. You know, if you say something of importance in the scene that involves another character that is not there, the producers will almost deem it necessary for that character to then go tell the other character what you did. You know how this works at this point. Why are we feigning ignorance? And then it ended, remember, with Brittany, like Meredith Marks met Brittany in a park during the daytime. And Meredith goes, I feel terrible that I hurt your feelings, first off. So I'm sorry for that. Which is the very bad, like, I'm sorry if you feel that way. And that's where we open up this week's episode. We open up with intense music. Dong, ding, dong, ding, ho, ha, ho, ho, ha. And we're at the Salt Lake City International Airport. As soon as I saw airport, I said, uh-oh, Bronwyn's going to be in one of those fucking inflatables. Which I say, like, in fucking inflatables, but I think it's delightful. I do. I'm fully... I want to buy. I'm supposed to not be spending my money crazy, but can somebody find out where Bronwyn gets these delightful inflatables? I don't want one for my museum. I want one for me to wear. This seems amazing. And you see Bronwyn coming down an escalator like, and it looks just delightful. But in these days, should we really be messing around like this at airports? Hasn't TSA been through enough? Especially around the holidays. So we see Todd waiting for his baggage, and Todd's just very unassuming. Now, it looks like he's just grumpy and just waiting for my bag. But remember, there's a camera pointed directly at Todd. I want you to think about the reality of this. Todd knows exactly what's about to happen. There's a camera 7 feet away from the Todd father, and you see Bronwyn in the, like a raccoon inflatable walking up. He knows it. He's like, oh, it's not like he doesn't think Bronwyn, I guess they're just wanting a shot of me picking up my luggage because it's the Todd reality show. It's the Todd father presents picking up luggage at the airport. They know where the real magic is. It's following me, Todd. Anyways, Bronwyn's like tiptoeing up to Todd, and she's like, ha! And Todd manages like a half smile, which I think for any normal person, that's a full smile, but Todd can only get his face to do a half smile. And he's like, you scared me. Now what are you today? And she's like, what do you think? I think you're a sloth. The fastest moving sloth you've ever seen. I wish that lady I was making out with while I was farting was dressed like a sloth. Anyways, they're in the car. I like that Todd does this. He goes, I'm going to drive. And she's like, how was the flight? And he's like, I read a little bit. I watched some stuff that I downloaded. Now for Todd, that worries me because Todd likes to look at pictures of other ladies on planes. That seems to be a kink of his. So I get worried when it's like some stuff I watched some hardcore pornography for 9-hour flight from Taipei, and I've got a lot of Starbucks mugs that I brought back. So all told, really good trip. Bronwyn says that she's still really irritated at what happened with Todd, but she says, I don't think that having issues is indicative of having a bad relationship. And Todd and I are married and choose to be married. She says she chooses to be married to Todd all the time, and there are wonderful things about our marriage. We just never get to see them on this show. But think about the reality of that as well. Is that there has to be, and it has to be more than just money. Like, yes, she gets to buy all these cool clothes that we see. She's a fashion icon. She is the moment. But there's got to be more than just Todd's money. And I wish we could see a little bit of that. Like, I wish I could see them, like, I don't want to see like tongue kiss, but I'm not saying I don't want to see him. You know what? Like, I just want to see, I want to see tenderness, right? I want to see Todd being like, I love you with everything that I have, Bronwyn Newport. I love you so much. Like, I would love that because I know it has to be there. If not, if what we're seeing is everything in their relationship, then yeah, they're potentially doomed. So he's driving and then he goes, so how was your week while I was gone? And Bronwyn's like, actually, my week was not that good. I'm in big trouble, Todd. Can you guess why? And he goes, I'm sure it has to do with your trash bag friends. And Bronwyn's already, like, Todd at this point is a masochist because he's already said he doesn't want to talk about her friends, that she gets into trouble with the friends and it's kind of her fault, but she keeps sharing these stories and at the same time he's agreeing to film. So I'm so confused. But Bronwyn's like, what did you advise me to do before you left when we went to get coffee? And Todd goes, I wanted you to jump off a bridge. No, he goes, not get involved in this situation on an airplane. And she's like, what do you think I did, Todd? I'm sure you got involved in it. And she's like, how do you think that went, Todd? I'm sure it turned into a shit show. And she goes, I was trying to do the right thing. Whitney's mad because I told Meredith what she said. And as soon as she starts going into like the details, I'm sure Todd is just somewhere in his mind, just like collecting that Starbucks mug that he can never find, right? But Whitney's mad because I told Meredith what she said. I'm really bummed now because now Whitney's not going to trust me. She's going to be mad at me. I don't know. And he goes, this group needs to sit down and just have like a kumbaya and everybody apologize. Because every one of you, probably including you, has shit on somebody. And Bronwyn like whips her head like, that, by God, that could be a great idea. And she goes, you know what I'm starting to think, Todd, is maybe we can't seem to move forward because everybody's worried that everybody still has something that they don't know about. Does that make sense? Okay, well, I have an idea. Todd's still driving. He just drives off a cliff. I was thinking to celebrate my citizenship, becoming an American, I was thinking of having a Spill the Boston Tea party. And he goes, huh. And by the way, this is the first time we've seen Todd laugh. Todd's body is able to laugh. He goes, huh. That would be fun. That would be fun. And she goes, yeah, let's get all the gossip out. Let's get all of our animosity out. And then I think we come together and we form a new constitution. And she says in the talking head that she thinks the whole group needs a reset. Oh, no, they just need to stop talking about the effing plane. She goes, all I need them to do is be willing to embrace this. And he goes, so you know they hang the traitors in that era. It's what they did, Bronwyn. They hung the traitors at the Boston Tea Party. That's how this episode ends. They do try to hang Meredith Marks. It is so sad and so alarmed. Did you watch the bonus footage? Very upsetting. Anyways, we have the choir. And Whitney is just looking out at some like man-made lake in her backyard, and she just looks like completely spent. She's got a glass of Chablis on her side, and she's just looking out at this man-made lake, despondent, just staring with a glass of red Chablis. I'm guessing it's Chablis. I don't even know what it is. And Justin comes out. And Justin comes with a glass of what looks like Pinot Grigio. He's like, hey, what's up, dude? How's it going? What's going on? It's going. It's flying. It's going. Yeah. And they're just like kind of sitting awkwardly. And she's like, has something to say, right? There's a big pause. Big pause. And he goes, hey, bud, what are you thinking about? What are you thinking about, Whit? And she goes, I just saw a large transfer from our bank account. And she goes, and she looks at him directly, to one of our vendors. That hurt. I saw that we paid one of our bills. Whose wise idea was that, Justin? But Justin goes, just feel like we have to make things right with the people that we owe money to. I feel like the vendor should be Lisa Barlow and they just deal with her. But like Whitney's kind of like shaking her head pissed. Like, we shouldn't have to pay people for anything that we should. It's so ridiculous. She goes, it just sucks, Justin, because my intuition going into this knew not to do it, and I didn't listen. And she explains that they took Wild Rose Beauty and they merged it into a new entity. Unfortunately, she says, she made a really bad decision. And right now, she says she's fighting to get out of ownership of this company. She's fighting to get her name off it to remove her as an owner to get back her biggest asset, which is my Wild Rose Beauty name, brand, and inventory. I'm telling you, this Wild Rose Beauty, it is the next $1 billion. Move over, Selena Gomez. Move over, Justin Bieber's wife, Haley. Move over. It's Wild Rose Beauty. She tells Justin, I don't feel like I was being told the truth. And he goes, well, hey, neither was I, babe, because I would never have fucking done this. And he's like, oh, my vision was to go to Sephora and Ulta and Target to get you away from MLM. MLM is multi-level marketing. And Justin has had multiple jobs in MLM, in that industry. And I'm sure there's documentaries, but MLMs are so proliferant in Utah. And I don't even think they think it's a scam. Like, I think they truly believe in MLMs, even though I think the data shows otherwise, that it's scammy, you know? Like, I don't think, but I so many Mormons in particular, you see them like, yeah, I work at this place and it's an MLM. And what is LuLaRoe and all of these companies, but Justin's been involved in many of these, right? But Whitney says it is, I was wanting to get you out of this MLM, and literally the week that we made the decision to go direct selling MLM, and he's like, was the week you met? She goes, yeah, the week that I met the buyer of Sephora. It's actually just Whitney went into Sephora to buy makeup, and she's like, I met somebody that works at Sephora. But she goes, to get Wild Rose Beauty into big box stores. You all flashed numbers in front of me. I felt like I had no other choice. He's like, we were just counting to 10. Like, we weren't flashing numbers, but I did it because I trust you, Justin. And Justin's just staring at her, and Whitney's like, and I'm really mad at myself. And he's like, sorry, bud. Hey, your fault, bud. No, he doesn't say. He's just staring at her. And this is kind of like this is almost like very Tennessee Williams. Like, they're just staring off at this water. This was the first time that you, Justin, and she's starting to cry, that you believed that Wild Rose Beauty could go to the next level. So up to this point, Justin was like, fuck Wild Rose Beauty. That ain't shit, that makeup. But she said, if I agreed to do it your way, you finally believed in my company. And she said, I've been asking you for years, Justin, for you to help me be a part of it. Like, work with me. When we met, we worked together. We worked so well together. And listen, I really do love Whitney. I think she's awesome. But when they first worked together, wasn't that the place where like the infidelity happened with Justin? Like, weren't they having like an inappropriate relationship at work? Yeah, it's like, we worked so well together. Yeah, I think you were doing the hippity dippity when you shouldn't have been, like, right? But when he says, and all of a sudden you have an opportunity to take my baby, and it's the first time that you were like, okay, let's make it $1 billion company. Justin. God, I love Justin's like, yeah, babe, this could be $1 billion company. Man, what about just being $1,000 company? Like, let's start small. What about 1 million? Like, I don't know. I don't know enough about makeup to really give my opinion about Wild Rose Beauty, but it sounds, I worry about all of these housewives and their businesses. That's why you want these housewives to do deals with Arby's, so we don't have to worry about their skin in the game. Because I don't want to worry about how I have to take care of these housewives for the rest of their lives, right? But Justin's just taking all this in. And Whitney said, that's why I ultimately said yes, is because of Justin believes it and we're working together, and then it can't fail. It can't fail on my healing journey. And he goes, I don't know. I don't know what to say other than sorry, bud, for even getting you involved with it, you know? And when he goes, okay, but I think that what you're missing is, as much as I'm trying not to resent you, it's hard to separate you from that. And so I will no longer be swinging with you at parties. But he's like staring at her like, what'd you say, babe? And the producer asks Whitney, do you feel like there's a change in your marriage because of this? And Whitney said, in the beginning, when it was all crumbling, it did bring Justin and I closer. It really has made me struggle. And she's crying. She goes, because separation from the business and the marriage, it all became one big failure. And now I don't know what I need, what Whitney needs. And so it has affected her marriage. And she's like, I'm kind of just there. And, you know, what are you if you do not have a makeup brand? You're just a reality star. Justin goes, I mean, obviously, I feel the resentment, babe. I do, yeah. I made a mistake. My bad. I definitely get what you're saying about the belief in your business, you know, before this, and you thinking this is the only way I thought that it could be successful, and that's not the case. I pretty much suck at business. I thought you figured that. That's on you, right? I suck. I always knew your company is going to be successful, you know. I was testing you if really truth be told, and you made the wrong decision, bud. I just thought that this was a way that we could work together, you know. My bad. And she said, that was my everything, aside from you and the kids and our family. That is my everything. And it's like, damn, that's brutal. If like you took away Whitney's everything, Justin. And she goes, now it's gone. It's gone. And she sniffles. It's gone. And he's just staring at her like, okay, cool. $1 billion brands can be built like that. I'm just exhausted. So now we have a scene with Heather Gay. Heather, I don't have a storyline Gay. She threw away her mattress last week, and this week she's decorating her daughter's bed for a bed party because her daughter is going to Tampa to school, and her other daughter went to school in Miami and is back, and they're doing this. I didn't know what a bed party was, but it's when they throw a bunch of college shit on the person's bed, and then they could post like an IG photos of like, I'm going to Tampa, you know. But also what I was more like started focusing on during this scene was how incredibly small that this daughter's room is. It's like the bed, there's no room on either side, and there's no window dressings. There's like a huge circular window by the bed and then a group of other windows, and there's no curtains on these windows. It's just like bright sunlight. And then I was like, did they stage this? Is this actually this girl's bedroom? And I know that's so weirdly conspiratorial, but why not? But Heather is saying, you know, there's been a lot of changes this year. One is that I got an air fryer, and I'm like, hey-oh, rim shot, tip your waiters. And she's like, no, we cook Oreos in there and pickles. You know, we fry Oreos in the air fryer. My God, that's what we're doing. We've got this amazing Salt Lake City, and we're talking about air frying Oreos, which I will probably try later this year. And she says it was such a huge responsibility raising her 3 daughters, and she says she's most excited about just not feeling responsible for another person. Like Heather's excited for her own bed party once these kids are donezo at this place. She's shipping them all to college. So this is like just a fuck pad, right? Like that is my working theory. Also, I'm sure all of this furniture was bought by Wayfair. At least we didn't get a full commercial like we did last week. But Heather says she wants these girls to be on their own. A little bit of that time and energy can be spent on other things, on myself, Heather says. But was there an article that came out a couple weeks ago that Heather has spent $250,000 on beauty enhancements? Like, if you have the money, and by the way, she has Beauty Lab and laser, so I'm sure she gets that much cheaper than $250,000, but that is a lot of money. And she definitely looks so different from that first season, even though you sometimes forget that, right? So now the daughter is coming to surprise, and the daughter's like, oh my God, it's crazy. Whoa, go Spartans. What? Oh, Heather's like, get the fuck out of here. Get out. I need the space. So now we're over at Bronwyn's place, and yes, once again, Bronwyn is sipping out of a Dr. Pepper can with a straw. This is now the 7th or 8th time Dr. Pepper has appeared in a scene with Bronwyn. Dr. Pepper, she is hinting so heavily, just give her a brand deal. You know it's coming. Just give it to her. I love this scene. She calls her mom Muzzy, and Muzzy's like, hi. Once again, Todd and Muzzy never been in a scene together. And Bronwyn's like, I'm putting these flags in envelopes to mail out. And she's like, do you want to pull out this spreadsheet I made and come address these with me, Muzzy? And she lets us know that she's a big supporter of the LGBTQIA community. Hell yeah. And she said she was horrified when there was a passing of a law in Utah that pride flags could not be displayed at any kind of government building. That is flippin' ridiculous. And by the way, that's one of the reasons I heard that Sundance Film Festival has moved out of Utah. They're over, I think, in Boulder right now. They're going to be next year, but they moved out of it because of laws like this. But Muzzy comes in being all Muzzy. And I got to tell you, after this episode, Muzzy's on the upswing, man. Muzzy, I'm starting to get the Muzzy appeal. But Bronwyn says she thought one way she could show support for the community is to make sure that every non-government building in Salt Lake was displaying a pride flag. And then all of a sudden, we cut to Bronwyn and Muzzy in a sex store with the vibrators and the dildos. And Bronwyn's like, I just said on my Instagram that if people in Salt Lake wanted to be overly supportive with putting up pride flags, that I would send anybody who wanted one a flag. I'm almost about to get a Utah mailing address just so I can get one of these from Bronwyn, right? So Bronwyn says her mom and her have made multiple trips to the sex store that also sells pride flags. These pride flags should be sold everywhere, not just sex store. Anyways, they're in the sex store, and Bronwyn's like, look, I kind of think the penis balloons are funny. This one looks like Todd's. Gout dick sucker balloons. And then they're passing the vibrators, and Bronwyn's like, there's stuff in here I don't understand. Sure, Bronwyn, you have to say that stuff around your mom. And she goes, I'll happily, Muzzy, get you a device, and you can Google these things. And Muzzy's just like, oh, my God. Yeah, let's hook Muzzy up. By the way, if Bronwyn gets a Dr. Pepper deal, I think Muzzy should get some sort of deal with a vibrator. I'm Muzzy for these vibrators. I've had hours of pleasure at Bronwyn's house with this. Bronwyn says this is a big deal for Muzzy to help her with this, and she says, I know this is not how you feel politically about stuff, and I know sometimes that's hard for you. And Muzzy just says, as long as it helps you. As long as it helps you. Her and Todd sound so similar to me. As long as it helps you. So this is interesting, right? It's not an overtly political discussion, but at the same time, it is. And this is how I almost wish politics would be, is that this is the issue. Do you understand how I feel about it? You do, and you'll help me. Perfect. That's how we learn about things. But she goes, as long as it helps you, I don't care. Now, if you ask me to go to a strip show, I might draw the line there. I might draw the line there. And Bronwyn's like, how would that help me? Why would I ask you to come do that? Bronwyn's like, I need you to come to Thunder Down Under to help save people in Utah, Muzzy. And Muzzy's like, yeah, but I love doing crazy things that I wouldn't do on my own. I do. Yeah, because I don't worry about what other people, so much think anymore like I used to when you got knocked up at BYU. I'm a grown-up now, she says. I'm a grown-up now. And Bronwyn's like, okay, well, do I have to wait till I'm 80 to be grown up? Because, I very much worry what other people think of me. This is the interesting juxtaposition with Bronwyn, right? Like, she comes off like a badass in so many scenes, but then she will always tell us how much she's worried about what other people think of her, which, like, that's, I think, one of the reasons I relate to her. But then she's so strong in all of these other scenes. It's very interesting. And then Muzzy's like, you might come out of your cocoon a little later, maybe like 60. You're almost there. But she goes, yeah, I very much still worry about what other people think about me. I very much worry what you think of me. And Muzzy goes, I think you should. To a certain extent. I do. And it's like awkward silence. And Bronwyn says, Muzzy, in the past, you and I have struggled because I was making choices you didn't agree with. And you're very vocal about those. And Muzzy's like, but I told you that I learned my lesson. And Ron was like, yes, we've moved through it. And I actually think it's interesting that thing that you were most mad about me was having Gwen. And now the thing you love best about me is Gwen. And Muzzy's like, no, you've been a great mom for Gwen. You have. And Bronwyn's like tearing up. But Muzzy isn't looking directly at her, and now she does. And Muzzy smiles at Bronwyn and goes, you need to be proud of what you're doing because you're doing a great job. Everything. And I'm like, oh my God, am I loving Muzzy? Am I loving the Muzzinator? And Bronwyn's crying and saying, I've always wanted to make you proud of me. Isn't that the thing? We kind of want to make our parents proud. That's that thing. We're always trying. And she says, I've always wanted you to think I did something worthwhile. And she goes, I am proud of you. And it's like this beautiful moment. And Bronwyn's crying and shaking her head. Muzzy not crying at all, but saying everything that she needed to say with her words. And she's just staring at her with those big drawn-on eyebrows. And Bronwyn says, I know you're not the first person to, dole out compliments to everybody, so it means a lot to me. And she goes, I don't know how to say that. And Bronwyn says, I know. Because it's not that I don't mean it or that I don't think about it. It's just I think my parents were the same way. I mean, think about it. This is such a crazy, in-depth scene about sometimes when we look for emotions or some kind of validation from somebody that is just not emotionally equipped to give it to us. Everybody was raised in such a different way. And, we've been taught by our parents who were taught by their parents. And it's all about breaking generational trauma and things passed down. And Muzzy is sitting here going, it's not that I don't want to. It's just that I can't. It's not how I was raised. Right. And Muzzy says, I knew my parents loved me, but they always expected more. And so I'm the same way. But you always told Gwen, you're the best thing in the world. You're the smartest, I'm not sure I did that. But if it didn't work for you, then you're trying to change the role, and that's great. Great. Because she is well-rounded. And she gets all that from you. Can there be a bigger compliment in the world of saying, I didn't do this for you, and I see how you do with your daughter, and your daughter is so awesome? I mean, that is such a beautiful gift. Muzzy, our MVP of the, I did not think we would get this turnaround on Muzzy this quick. And then Muzzy goes, well, I would give you a hug, but I fucking hate your guts, you stinker. No, she goes, I would give you a hug, but I know how much you love hugs. That's what you passed on to Gwen. And Bronwyn's like, yes, I'm prickly. I'm like a hedgehog. Isn't that interesting? Bronwyn doesn't like hugs and physical contact, but she does need constant validation. Isn't that interesting? Bronwyn says she knows that her mom sees that I've done things differently, but in a way that's been successful. But her to be able to voice that, be willing to say it and willing to say it to me, she says that is a huge step for us. It really is. And my thought is they call cut on that scene and Muzzy's like, go fuck off, Bronwyn. I didn't mean shit what I just said. You got that on your fucking cameras, you reality show goons? But Bronwyn's like, now I have Muzzy in my ear telling me how perfect as I am. That's what I heard. I don't have to make any changes. I don't have to take shit from anybody. And then she goes, hey, don't go off the deep end, bro. Don't, now you're getting crazy. I want to see Muzzy in a scene with like Lisa Barlow or I think Muzzy could potentially break Meredith Marks in a second, where it's like, I know you're hiding something, Meredith. I know it. And Meredith's like, fine, I'm abusing pills. Leave me alone. Okay, so emotional scene's over, and now we get into the fever dream section of Salt Lake City. We have Angie K being dropped off. Of course, she's wearing a bonnet and she has an American flag, as you do when you exit an Uber. And then we see Brittany Bateman, Whitney, and Heather Gay in another car. And Heather Gay actually looks the best. She's fully, I mean, like Yentl could never. They're all dressed up. Heather Gay is just like, I thought the weird part was us dressing up like Hamilton. That was pretty confusing. And then Meredith and Lisa, they're in a separate car. They're on an island by themselves. And Meredith's like, what do we have going on here? And Lisa's like, we're going to some warehouse place. I guess we're going to. And then Angie's by herself and like, I don't even know if I'm in the right place. I mean, just looking just like Susan B. Anthony out there. She's like, I swear this is the address she gave me. This is almost close to feeling a little performative, a little actory. Like, come on, a little summer housey. I enjoy the costumes, but I'm tentative. Back in the other car, when he goes, Brittany, how are you? I haven't seen you since my house. Everybody's like, I know. I've been so busy sleeping with Jared Osmond. Meredith asked me to the park. And they're like, what? The park? Why the park? And Heather's like, if Meredith said meet me at the park at high noon, I would say, no, thanks. I'm Heather Gay. I'm the funny one. And Brittany's like, yeah, it seems like 10 paces and turn around. It's like a duel. We shoot each other. It seemed like she was, contrite enough to apologize when I talked to her. And then I said, okay, well, I can see that what I said was a trigger and it was shady. I can see what me talking about a TikTok about your husband cheating in Columbus, Ohio might be a trigger because it was. And when he's like, so she didn't address verbally attacking you? And I was like, what'd she apologize for then? Whitney and Heather kind of nervous of like, I thought we were all against Meredith. This doesn't work if we fall out of rank here. And what did she apologize for? And everybody's like, I know this one, for hurting my feelings. Yep. And then back in the other car, Mary's like, we agreed to treat each other with kindness and respect. And Lisa's like, oh, that's not going to last very long. And then back to Heather, so you forgive her and you guys are friends now? Get out of the fucking car, Brittany. And Brittany's like, I don't think we'll ever be friends. I just don't want to harbor that anger anymore. And when he's like, so you're going to accept her apology as like a step forward? I'm really proud of you because I don't think I could do it. And Whitney in a talking head goes, I'm glad it made Brittany feel good that Meredith gave her an apology, but I would love Meredith to take accountability with everyone because Meredith accused us of all lying about it. Yeah, they needed Brittany to stand strong, and now Brittany has forgiven Meredith. So we're walking into something where do they have the numbers, right? Now the Heather car pulls up and they see Angie K and they're like, whoa, Angie. And, it's got to be hard for Angie to hold an American flag when all she wants to be holding is a beautiful Greek flag. Opa! And now everybody's coming out in their outfits. Everybody really has taken to this theme, except Brittany kind of looks like she's like in Gone with the Wind. She's like a parasol. And Whitney's putting on lip gloss, and Heather reminds her there was no lip gloss in colonial times. You don't know, Heather. Whitney's like, and if colonial times, I would have Wild Rose Beauty, and it would be $1 billion company. So then Heather goes, you know what they did have in colonial times? And she pulls out a flask. Fruity Pebbles, this is straight urine. And Heather is like, you would be hard-pressed to find a colonist without a flask. And then we see a picture of George Washington sailing the waters in that big old canoe with a big giant flask in his hand. And Angie takes a swig of this. And Whitney's like chugging the flask. Like, all right, I know how to take this down very easy. And Brittany's like, that was like a good waterfall, Whitney. Like, Brittany seems honestly impressed. Like, wow, I've only seen Jared drink that much before. And now Meredith and Lisa pop up and they're like, whoa. And then fucking Lisa Barlow should be fined when she doesn't follow the rules. Like, she's wearing like black pants and a white tucked in shirt. Like, this isn't the theme, Lisa. Like, you got to do glam. At least they didn't like take away your glam. You gotta participate. And Lisa's like, what are you talking about? I'm dressed as Hamilton. And I was like, you can't just say Hamilton. You have to be Hamilton. And when he's like, if you can cite the Gettysburg Address. And Lisa's like, I'm sure I can if I can pull it up on my phone. Ha ha ha. And when he's like, 40. And Lisa's like, 40 and 40 years ago. Ha ha ha. And Mary's running a little bit late, as always, but it's fine. That's what Mary does. I truly believe they give Mary just late call times. And so I think they give her late call times, and I think they always tell her the wrong door to enter because they know it'll be funnier. And then anyways, the warehouse door opens up and it's Bronwyn in a big old wig, a big old white man's old colonial wig, and she's waving a gigantic flag. This is what people have to do to become citizens of the U.S., folks. They need to do this whole series of weirdness. And she lets them know that she's been studying for her American citizenship test, right? To become a U.S. citizen. And she's like, I love that everybody is humoring me with this. And then we have a shot of Meredith giving a dirty look. And so she's like, follow me into this room. And Lisa in a talking head's like, are you kidding me right now? If this is all about you getting your citizenship, couldn't I just like send you flowers? Just participate. Bronwyn brings them into a table full of wigs. And she's like, to really channel a founding father's look, please pick a wig. And yeah, so she's... and then Lisa's like, I think I'm going to go like a mullet. Yeah, I'm going to do a mullet. So they're all putting on these crazy wigs. And Bronwyn's like, I would like you to step back into 1773. And she opens up the curtain. And there's like this whole... there's all these, it looks like their reunion set from a couple years ago and it looked like a pirate ship. There's all these wooden barrels and like just burlap bags, and there's like a big painting on the back wall. It's like a whole scene, right? And there's little egg sandwiches and teacups. And Heather says, it is spectacular. I don't even know how she did it, but it feels like we're at Disneyland. No, it looks like somebody put a fucking couple boxes and burlap bags into a room in a warehouse. But she says, it's better than Pirates of the Caribbean. And Bronwyn says, I want to welcome you to my version of the Boston Spill the Tea Party. And everybody's like, ooh, I see what you did there. Spill the tea. Ooh. And Bronwyn was like, the colonists were angry because they were being taxed. As soon as taxed, Lisa's like, gotta go. God, I gotta go. I taxed. But they were being taxed without representation, and many of us in this group often feel like we are not represented correctly. And Brittany just stares like, huh? What is he talking about? On social media, in private conversations, in arguments. And now Mary Cosby's like wandering in. So we're going to have a little similar. And then we see Mary entering the room with her wigs on. And she's like, no. And we cut back to Bronwyn. We are going to have an enactment of what the Boston Tea Party is. And Mary's just like, no. And then Mary pulls out her own white wig out of her leather jacket. I've got my own. Mary Cosby even bringing props now. Who would have thunk it? Bronwyn says, first they had the protest. They spilled the tea, and after the mess was made, they cleaned it up and were able to move forward for the American Revolution, the Constitution. And I think that applies to us today in this group of friends. And by the way, for most Bravo viewers, this is more history than we've gotten in, I would say, 3 decades. Like, legitimately, I was like, oh shit, that's what this all is? Whoa. Anyways, Mary Cosby, they come back to her, putting on the wig, and she goes, I look like an idiot. I look like an idiot. Anyways, Bronwyn's like, so ladies, get something to eat. You can have sandwiches, scones, tea. If you don't want tea, there's also whiskey and wine. Or if you want something more American, here's pure cut Bolivian cocaine. No, she says, we have J-Dogs. I didn't even know what fucking J-Dogs were. Anyways, Whitney goes in on this food. Whitney's like broke. She's like, I've got to eat as much as possible. She's like Sonia Morgan. She's like Tupperware. I'm going to take this on the jitney. It's going to be so good later. And now the producers give the Housewives a little bit of a quiz. And the producers are like, Meredith, what do we call the first 10 amendments of the Constitution? And Meredith's like, how do I not know this? Do you know this? I'm putting you on trial. I do know this. Of course, I was too busy watching Crazy Rich Asians. And Lisa goes, it's the Declaration of Independence. And when he goes, our constitutional rights. And then Bronwyn gets it right. The Bill of Rights. And then it's like, how many U.S. senators are there? And Lisa goes, I want to say 50, but isn't there more? Angie Katzeneva says, let's see, I think there's one in every country. There's one in every country. So 51. Yeah, I'm in California, which is a separate country. And then Heather Gay, she's like, 52. Oh, no, 104. And Whitney's like, 53? 50? I don't know. And then Brittany's like, I got a 4.2 in high school. I was salutatorian, but it's all just gone now. It's gone. And Bronwyn's like really going back and forth. How many is there? That's 50, so 100, but that doesn't seem right. 2 senators a state. Yeah, it's got to be 100. She got it right. I mean, I feel like maybe they need to make all U.S. citizens study again. We don't even know. We're like, we're proud Americans. We don't know shit. Also, I thought it would be funny if it would be great if Bronwyn threw a January 6th party. Like, it's Stop the Steal party. But anyways, Bronwyn's like, we're doing the Spill the Tea party today. So behind this elaborate setup just to get people to talk shit about each other. It's behind your chairs, everybody has their own little ceremonial tea that you can throw into the harbor, and you're going to label it with the name of the person who you have maybe spilled tea about. Ha ha ha. Brittany looks like this is too complicated of instructions. She's like, is there clip notes? What's going on? And Meredith's kind of staring like, what the fuck are you talking about, Bronwyn? Bronwyn says, I think the forefathers might have been smarter than me, but I am using something out of their playbook. You gotta break all the crates of tea wide open, pollute the shit out of that harbor, and then, fight for what we want, which is a more perfect union with all of our friends. And then she does like double crossing of the fingers. Oh my God, come on. Going the long way just to get it feels a lot like the end of last season when Heather's like, I've got a game. Let's all pull out our phones and read the worst shit we've said about somebody at this table. And that way we'll be closer. It'll be a sisterhood. Anyways, Brittany is like, oh my God, like this is so hard. And we cut to commercial. By the way, that reunion that finale last season was so brutal when they all read and Bronwyn's like, I love her business plan to marry a man with one foot in the grave and one on a banana peel. And Heather's like, apparently Bronwyn didn't get enough of a beating the last time we tried this. Mary Cosby says, I don't ever look forward to spilling the tea because... And then we flash back to Mary's finale saying, I would like to invite Bronwyn over for tea instead of Mary tomorrow. That was Brittany's about Mary Cosby. And Mary Cosby gives her a face like, what the fuck are you talking about, Brittany? And Mary's like, it's a hot mess. Yep, I said it. So Angie's like, what, I just write a name on it? Is that what we do? Okay. And Lisa's like, Heather, why do you seem stressed? And Heather's like, because I haven't even thought about it yet. Heather's the one person there that knows like shit. She's talked about each one of these ladies. Heather's like, she's acting like, I don't even know what I could possibly say. And Angie's like, who have I spilled tea about? Huh? All right, Lisa. And Lisa's like, oh my gosh. And Angie's like, when Lisa made her announcement about her horse, And I'm like, what? And then we flash back to the below deck on the yacht, Lisa, in a footage that we never saw. Lisa goes, we're going to the Kentucky Derby. And when he's like, Lisa, did you buy a horse? And Lisa goes, I did. You bought a horse? You own a horse? And Lisa's like, yes, I did. And Lisa's like, wait. And Lisa's like, I don't know why this is a big deal. Because horses are like $250,000 up to $1 million. Like, I'm so confused about Lisa's finances. Half the time I think she's completely broke, and half the time I'm like, is she rich? I'm so confused. Can somebody just, John Barlow, if you're listening, can you just send me like a Wells Fargo receipt of like a savings account or something? Like, you're buying horses and that wasn't something that you thought you should give to the producers as a storyline? I would love to watch a scene of Lisa Barlow checking out like, oh my God, the hooves are beautiful. We'll take this horse. But Angie says, I wanted to believe Lisa, even though I had heard otherwise. So I did spill the tea about that and talk to other people about you not buying a horse. And then we flash back to the boat of Angie talking to Mary Cosby, and Angie's like, that Lisa's horse story. My friend said she's renting a horse at her barn, which she's riding, but now she said she bought it. Is she lying? And Lisa in this scene goes, I own a horse. It's not anything grand. It's a real shitty horse. It's like a Toyota Corolla of horses. It's just for me. It's a Lisa Barlow horse. It's my horse. And I'm looking at getting a second one. Yeah, just one for home and one for the office. And Angie's like, a second one? And Lisa's like, yeah. And Angie's like, what would you do with 2 horses? It's nobody's business. And he's like, well, you make an announcement about it. I didn't make an announcement about it. And then he's like, you did. And then Lisa goes, you made an announcement. You made an announcement. I love the way Lisa Barlow fights. Like, you'll just say like, no, you did it, Lisa. No, you did it. And he's like, you made an announcement that you bought a horse. And Lisa goes, nope, I didn't. Angie in a talking head goes, you know, if Lisa bought something like a horse, she's going to post it and brag about it. And then Bronwyn's like, now throw your box, Angie. And Angie's like, okay, so that's my tea. That I can just throw the box. Angie's like, I haven't seen any photos circulating of her riding off into the sunset on a horse. Now Lisa's going to be pressured into buying an actual horse and like completely... Oh, anyway, so now Angie throws her horse into the fake harbor, and Heather's like, so that tea is spilled, and we throw it into the ocean, and Lisa's like, I'm still irritated. I'm frustrated. In a talking head, Lisa goes, you know, at this point, I'd rather be at the actual Boston Tea Party. Lisa, no, you wouldn't. It was so harsh back then. They had no makeup and good clothing. And Lisa goes, and as a New Yorker, that's saying a lot. And Brittany goes, all right, can I spill some tea? And when he's like, yes, spill some tea, Brittany. And she goes, so I don't have anyone that I can think of that I've spilled the tea, but I would like to know who spilled the tea about me flirting with Joao. And by the way, she says Joao from Below Deck. Joao. She does jazz hands about me flirting with Joao. Brittany's a weird one, man. She's quirky. I like that. And we go back to the Below Deck episodes where Brittany is like, hey, Muscles, to Joao. Hey, Muscles, you're great. And Brittany's like, because like when I got home, Jared and I broke up over it. And Mary's like, oh my God, not Jared. Oh my God, not Jared. And Heather's like, you broke up over Joao? And when he's like, but you were broke up before the boat. And then Lisa goes, but you kissed Joao. And Brittany's like, I did kiss him, which you cannot get those Below Deck episodes here quick enough because I have a feeling Brittany did kiss Joao. And Brittany's like, no, I didn't kiss Joao. I kissed him on the cheek. The cheek. Cheek doesn't count. On his butt cheek. And Brittany's like, Jared got this memo that I was like making out with Joao. And I don't know how he got it. I just want to know. And then when he goes, I told Justin on the boat. And we flash back to Whitney doing a voice note for Justin. Babe, you're not going to believe it. I'm so proud of Brittany. She's really holding true to her 30-day fast of Jared. And she's living her best life out here with the bosuns with Captain Jason. I mean, she is just flirting it up. Also, thank you for destroying my wild rose beauty business, Justin. I hate you. Love you. Bye. But when he says, no one's saying that you made out. We didn't see you make out with anyone. And Brittany's like, thank you. Thank you. And Bronwyn's like, can we just spill this tea over? I'm tired of talking about Jared. And Brittany's like, ha, 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 ha. Brittany in a talking head goes, I think I just need to accept this half-ass apology and just move on. Brittany, that's all she does is just accept half-ass apologies. Meredith's like, I'm sorry if you feel that you got hurt by me. I'm sorry about that. Anyways, Brittany throws her thing into the fake water. And Heather goes, I'm ready to do my tea. Okay, I'm ready to do a big B word. In the spirit of full disclosure, I mean, I have to stand for what I have been spilling the tea about. And I think you, Bronwyn, probably know what it is because I'm deeply fascinated by it. But this rumor about Todd making out with someone and farting. How dare they bring up me and my gas problem? Do you not feel it's absurd, Heather says to Bronwyn? And Bronwyn's like, throw the fucking box over. And Heather's like, so it's not funny at all. And Bronwyn's like, I don't find it funny. Farting isn't funny. And Bronwyn's like, so you've spilled it, Heather. We've heard it. And Heather's like, I agree, and I will leave him alone. And I'm going to throw it in the harbor. I'm going to just do it. But like, really, that's another Salt Lake mystery. Are we ever going to find out about Todd farting and making out? Like, what is the reality of that situation? And then Meredith goes, I agree. And I second that for everybody. Okay? And Heather goes, I want to apologize, Bronwyn. I'm sorry. And Mary's like, good, Heather. That was great. Good apology. And Bronwyn's like, I'm going to go next. And she's riding on her little prop box. Whitney, you and I had lunch, and in an effort to try to be a good friend of Meredith, I wanted to warn her about something that I think went too far. But it has upset you. And there's just a pause. I want to apologize for spilling tea that I should not have spilled. So I'm going to throw mine into the harbor. Ha ha ha. And when he goes, why didn't you stop me mid-conversation? And then say, Whitney, stop saying that. And no, you laughed at me. And we flash back to this lunch, and Bronwyn's like, okay, well, if Meredith's going to scream at you for 5 hours, if she hears you, for sure, you are incoming rape. Jesus. And Whitney's like, I thought I was confiding in you in a private conversation that was on camera. And yes. And Bronwyn's like, then you should take that up with Meredith. I'm not the keeper of Meredith's wine. I am the keeper of Meredith's wine. And Whitney's like, I'm not the keeper either. But I'm the keeper of a private conversation between you and I, and you broke that trust. And she's like, that I apologize for. You're making me look bad. You're making me look horrible in front of Meredith Marks. And Meredith's like barely clocked in right now. And Bronwyn's like, if you are uncomfortable with her knowing about it, then you probably shouldn't have said it, Whitney. Not tell me behind her back. And, Meredith in her fright wig is like, yeah, exactly. But it's really between the two of you, Whitney. And Whitney goes, you think I'm going to call a belligerent woman 2 days after we land? And then it's like zoinks and hard cut into Meredith going like, God damn it. And Meredith goes, if you want to go there, let's go. You go there. If you want to get nuts, let's get nuts, Whitney. Everything I said was the truth. And Brittany's like slamming her book against her head. And Meredith has a quill pen. She's like, stop with your lies. Stop with your lies, Whitney. That you didn't yell on the plane? You didn't taunt Brittany for 6 hours? I love every time they shoot with Brittany. Brittany has their mouth like half open, like she's like in like the beginning stages of surprise, like, And Meredith goes, no, I didn't taunt her for 6 hours. And then when he goes, can I have the crazy pill that y'all took? I would love it. And then Lisa goes, apparently you're already taking it. Of course, that's your easy route out. I'm a liar. Anything I say or experience isn't true. But guess what? You had other witnesses there, Meredith. And Meredith looks pissed. She's like, "Grrr. Be careful, Whitney. Be careful what you do in these moments." And she goes, "Great, Whitney. You can't just call me a liar. You're a liar." "I am not a liar. Let's talk about Whitney." Whitney, the talking head, goes, "Calling me a liar triggers me so deeply because I feel like I'm a very honest person to a fault. I feel like anytime they're lying, they just gaslight me and say, 'You're lying.' She never takes accountability. She just goes, 'Lies. These are lies. These are rumors.' Like she just instantly yells, 'You are a liar.'" And Whitney in the scene goes, "You want to go there? If you're going to call me a liar, let's do it. Alcoholic." Whoa! Alcoholic. And Angie's like, "Zoiks." And Mary Cosby's like, "Zoik, zoiks." And then Whitney goes, "Pill popper, alcoholic pill popper." And Meredith stands up. And then Meredith goes, "I have some presents for all of you." That was the magic word. Usually to get presents at Christmas, I always say pill popper to my dad. He's like, "Well, check your stocking over there, son." And when he goes, "I'm sick of you being able to throw around character assassinating things about me." And then Mary's like, "Can I get more alcohol while we're at it?" And Meredith walks in with this big bag of goodies. And Meredith's like, "It's a shame that it comes to this, that I now have to pass out gifts. I brought everybody a gift." And Mary accepts hers, goes, "Thank you, love. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you." And Lisa goes, "Oh my God, it's on ice. I love this. You know how much I love it. Is it bullet ice? That's amazing." Brittany is looking in the gift. She goes, "It's cold. You can unpack the whole bag and see what's in there." And Brittany pulls out the Meredith Marks caviar, and she looks like she's never been gifted caviar in my life. She's like, is this part of our paycheck? This is amazing. Can I get this as a friend of? What is this? And then there's another thing in there as well. Like, what is it? What is the secret other thing besides the caviar? We come back from break and they're opening it up and she's like, "Sure, you can unpack the whole bag and see what's in there." And then Angie reads it. It's a multi-drug urine test cup. And Brittany's like, "What in the world? Is that how you eat caviar?" Brittany goes, "I have never in my life taken a drug test." And when he's like, "Where does one go for 7 drug tests last second?" It's probably that sex store that Bronwyn gets those flags at. And Mary's like, "That's a lot of urine. That's a lot of urine." And Mary goes, "I am happy to take a drug test every day of my life because I am very honest about everything I do. As I've said for years, I'll have a drink here and there and an occasional gummy. So if you have made an accusation against me for substance abuse, I think you need to take the test." Brittany says, "This issue on the plane has taken a whole new life of its own. We've graduated from the Brittany plane drama. We've graduated. We're getting a doctorate soon." Brittany trying to really serve in her talking head. And when he's like, "Meredith, oh, the one with the accusations is so quickly to put away the drug test, I'll have you notice. It sounds like a projection then." When he's like, "Do you want me to pull up my skirt and pee on it?" I do. The fact that we did this whole fucking scene and nobody pees on a stick, that would have taken this whole scene to another crazy level that I totally could have handled. If you had to see Mary Cosby, "I can't believe I'm doing this," and then you just hear tinkle, tinkle, tinkle. Oh my God. If Heather's like, "I need to go have a think and a tinkle." Could you imagine? And why bring all these drug tests and then we don't have anybody do the drug test? Yeah, call Meredith's bluff. Make Meredith do the drug test. And what is this test for? I want to know more. If we're going to bring the prop of the drug test, we need to go through with it. And when he goes, "The only thing that's in my system is alcohol and the failure of my Wild Rose beauty business. And I don't think it would show on this." And then Meredith goes, "Well, let's see that. Let's see it. You decided that you wanted to make this some kind of spread rumors behind my back, and you do almost every year." And when he's like, "Stop talking." "I am talking right now. That was not my intention." "Yes, it was. You want me to talk about it in front of everyone? Yeah, I do actually, Whitney. I was reacting to your behavior on a plane. In a talking head, Meredith goes, I'm very tired of Whitney making these false accusations on me. They are damaging, they are hard to disprove, and she needs to worry about herself and her own life and stop projecting it onto me. And she needs to pee on that fucking stick. When he goes, you do this every time you go to sleep, you wake up and you get more mad. You did it to me on the boat. And we flash back to on the boat. Brittany's like, have you not seen it? It's all over TikTok. And Meredith's like, no, I have not seen it, nor do I care. And Whitney's like, she showed me. Oh, so she's sharing it. And then another scene where Meredith's like, my bigger issue is actually with Whitney today. And when he's like, with me? Huh? Back in this scene, Meredith's like, so I'm not allowed to think things over and realize that there are things that piss me off, so much so that I'm going to need you to piss on the stick. I'm describing my experience with you, and I've witnessed your behavior, and I recognize it. And everybody's like, whoa. And Meredith's like, okay, well, you know what? We're going to backtrack to every single event this year, and let's see how much I've had to drink. And she's like, no, because that's the way that you deflect, Meredith. I'm describing my experience with you. This is a very sensitive subject in my house. And Meredith's just staring at Whitney. In a talking head, Whitney goes, in the past, when I've witnessed people acting the way that Meredith has, it was fueled by drugs or alcohol. I don't know what's going on with Meredith. I hope it's none of those things. I just wish she understood why I worry about her. Meredith goes, let's see how much I have to drink, Whitney. You don't care about me, Whitney, or you would have come to me. And when he's like, no, you don't, that's why you won't accept the fact that I love you. And Lisa goes, that's a huge accusation. She's weaponizing her experience. Imagine, in a talking head, Lisa's like, imagine your friend is emotional and upset, and instead of having compassion, you label her crazy and a drug addict. What the fuck is wrong with you guys? What is wrong with you? No wonder she brought drug tests. In the scene, Lisa's like, it's not fair to do this to her. Is it fair to bring drug tests? I mean, listen, I get it, but you're on a reality show, and also, we've dodged around these like, I keep thinking back to last season. Remember when Brittany was like, Meredith, I heard you crying and throwing up in the other room. Meredith's like, no, I didn't. I slept through the entire night. I was watching Crazy Rotations. Like, there's always some weird story about Meredith that Meredith completely denies. But also, you're on a reality show, so if you show or exhibit weird behavior, it is going to be pulled into the reality show. But I do understand that, yes, it's obviously when you're dressed like, the Boston Tea Party, it's it's a hard place to do an intervention episode. But when he's like, Lisa, stop. Other than I was going to have a conversation with you and Meredith, and that opportunity got taken away from me. And Meredith's like, no, it didn't. And when he's like, you yelled at me and I was upset. I didn't yell at you on the plane. I didn't. And there's like a big pause. Brittany's shaking her head. Mary's like, that's not exactly how I remember it. And we flash back to Mary talking to Meredith a couple episodes ago, going, the fact, Meredith, that you don't remember concerns me. It really does. I do remember, Mary Cosby. I vented to Lisa for a little bit. I put on a movie. I fell asleep. And Mary's like, well, you leave out the part that was saying, you idiot. That was saying, you idiot. You Whitney. You was like, Whitney, where's the TikTok? Whitney. Mary in her talking head goes, Meredith did yell at Whitney. I heard it with my own ears, and I saw it. Why is she denying it? It's just bizarre. Almost like she wasn't there, What if, Meredith fucking astral projects and she, leaves her body and who knows? There could be, but Meredith, there's something so confusing here. And Heather's like, Meredith, you trust me and believe me. I was on the plane. You said the same thing to both of us. Meredith's like, no, Heather. And Heather's like, you said if you're friends with her, we're done. If you're friends with Brittany, we're done. And Meredith's like, I didn't tell you our friendship was over on the plane. I didn't. And Heather's like, Lisa, what did she say? And Lisa's like, she. And Heather's like, you already said what she said before. You just said try to stay the same before. So just try to say the same story. And Lisa's like, I was not there for that. I was listening to Kendrick Lamar, A minor. Heather's like, that's a very different story that you told at Valters. where we flash back to Balters, where Lisa goes, she basically said it's you or Brittany. To her, you did say that. And Mary's like, I didn't say that, her. And Heather's like, Lisa, in this scene, Heather's like, you said if you're friends with her, we're done. And Mary's like, I never turned to her and said we're not friends. I didn't do it. No, I didn't. And Heather's like, yes, you did. Why did you apologize to me then for it, Meredith? Why'd you send a text message to apologize? And Mary's like, wasn't what I said, it was my tone. And that's why I sent you an apology, for my tone. And I said, what I said in the apology, sorry I snapped at you. And we see the text message where Meredith says in a text, I'm sorry if I snapped at you getting off the plane. I was very upset. I apologize. Red heart emoji. And it looks like Heather writes, I feel horrible. I know how upset you are. Let's talk in the morning. And Meredith's like, well, maybe I said I'm sorry if I snapped. I don't know. Heather in her talking head says, I know I'm not lying. And in fact, she is. Whitney goes, the way that she's so fanatically defending herself to the point of bringing props, drug tests for all of us to take, even though none of us will fucking take them. That is just projection at its finest. Because why would she want us to take a drug test? And Meredith goes, you know what, Heather? And Heather's like, I've been a very, very good receipts, proof. I've been a very, very good friend to you for a very long time. And then Meredith's like, you lied, and you all said horrible things about me that didn't happen. And Heather's like, do you believe I lied, Meredith? Fuck that. Ah. So Heather says she's furious, and Heather's like, the root of it is that you would sit across from me, Meredith, and tell me that I lied. I didn't say that. Yes, you did, Meredith. Did she not say that? Heather's yelling. Did she not say that? Don't gaslight me. I know what I said, Heather, but you misunderstood because you're fucking dumb. You misunderstood what I was saying. Heather's like, you're still doing it to me. I'm upset. And it's because of what you did, Meredith. You questioned my loyalty, you questioned my friendship, and you questioned my experience. I was there. Why does Bronwyn want to be a U.S. citizen so bad? Heather in a talking head says, I am quite familiar with someone telling me that, like, the entire history I've been told my entire life was true, when in fact it wasn't. Heather's like, I did nothing wrong, Meredith was a good friend to you, and I tried to be a great friend to her. Heather says it's a big trigger for her, and especially growing up Mormon, leaving the church, having Mormons tell me to my face that the church I left was not the church that I lived in. And it was. And I don't want to be gaslit by the Mormons, and I don't want to be gaslit by my friends. Surviving Mormonism and surviving friends. Heather says, you guys have this ability to say what you think is the truth. And if we don't get in line, like, we're just fucking liars. And Lisa's like, that's how I felt about you. And Heather's like, and that's not fair. I still feel very unsettled by this whole thing. I need you, Meredith, to say I am horrified that that's what happened on the plane, and I'm so sorry. And not look at me and say I'm a liar. And Meredith just stone-faced. Meredith goes, there's no resolution, and I doubt there will be today, so I think we should move on. Yeah, I think we should move on. I don't know. And Mary's like, is anyone else wearing a girdle besides me? And Meredith goes, because it's cutting my ribs. And Bronwyn's like, okay, I have a more pleasant surprise for you guys. I have a dress reveal, basically. I'm just going to go take my cape off. I love that we just dumped this all of a sudden. Heather's like crying. Meredith's like, pee test. We've just dropped everything. And Bronwyn's like, it's time for me to put on another dress. I've been wearing it under this dress the whole time. So she comes out and she's wearing this like dress that is like the Constitution is on this dress, I believe. And she's like, under my cape this whole time, I've had the whole Constitution. It's the real one. Todd bought it for me from a jeweler. You know, this was to create this chaos and this protest in the Boston Tea Party so that they could move forward a more perfect union. Rules that they chose for themselves, that they wanted to govern themselves in a new way. So I think today we agree on some, like, friendship amendments that we would like to change in this group. So hear ye, my amendment would be that families are off limits. I'm like, what the fuck? No, nothing's off limits. This is reality TV. What? And Heather's like, I have an amendment. Hear ye, be a woman of your word. And then Lisa's like, hear ye, to be the friend that you expect others to be. And then Mary's like, that we not only hear each other, but we also forgive. And then Whitney's like, hear ye. There are topics that are off limits. It's businesses, marriages, and children. Well, get Whitney off the show then. None of those should be off limits. Angie's like, hear ye. In this group, we need to be very careful about saying things about people without documentation. And then Brittany's like, hear ye. Shall we always see the best in people? And then Heather's like, Meredith, you need an amendment. And Meredith's like, sure. Hear ye. Stop the reactive abuse. And everybody's like, what? Reactive abuse? And that's all I have to say about that. And Mary's like, I'm confused. And when he's like, I'm going to Google reactive abuse. Reactive abuse happens when a victim of abuse reacts to that abuse in a way which could include physical violence or shouting of their own. Thank you for giving me a definition of your behavior, Meredith. We're all reactive abusing each other. And Bronwyn's like, cheers to our new constitution. I love our amendments. And then Heather goes, no more farts. Bronwyn should break that fucking mug over Heather's head. And then Mary goes, I mean, farting can only go so far, and then it's no longer funny. That is so true. Sometimes gas does go on too long, and it's not fun at all. So we end that, and next time on The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, we're in Greece, you guys. Opa! I just found out that Angie Katsunavis is from Greece. We see that Angie and Lisa are fighting in Greece, and Angie's like, I had my Porsche first. And Lisa's like, I had my Porsche forever. And Angie's like, I had 5 Porsches. And Lisa's like, I'm on 4. And the other I have 2 Porsche horses. And then we have a scene of Heather saying, I don't know what's going on with Meredith. It blows my mind that she can make little cutting comments and call me a liar. And then Whitney crying at a dinner table going, I don't think you have a problem. I think you're the problem right now. And I think she's talking to Meredith. So what is this has got to be leading to something. If this leads to nothing, then they're blowing this second half of the season. Blowing it. Anyways, wish them luck at the reunion today. Thank you for being here. Wow, a long one today. As always, come back on Friday for an all-new episode. Make sure you watch Beverly Hills tonight. Have a great Thursday, and I'll be at Chump Miss at the Brea Improv for Jeff Lewis. So if you're a chump, come on out and say hi. It should be a blast. Bye, guys. Have a great Thursday.